He wants to know if any religion can be proven, namely Christianity. Now, of course, this question is akin to the first. If I have given good reasons why Christianity is true, then it is the case that something could be said that's reliable for the Christian understanding of reality. The difficult word here, of course, is proven, and it depends entirely on what you mean by that word. It's an awkward word because it's just thrown out without qualification oftentimes, and if it's not qualified, oftentimes when a Christian gives lots of evidence for his view, proof, if you will, that it's just dismissed as not proof. It doesn't rise to this standard, whichever standard is in the mind of the critic. So this is why it has to be qualified, because there are different standards of truth. There's apodictic truth, highest standard. That means it's not possible for it to be mistaken. All right? So it is like, whoa, it's like, I think, therefore I am. All right? That's pretty straightforward. If you're a thinking something, then you're a something. Because thoughts are had by things. And that's Descartes famously, cogito ergo sum. But that's pretty straightforward. Hard to deny that. Okay, I exist. But most things don't rise to apodictic truth level. Then you have beyond a reasonable doubt. That's the high standard for criminal trials in this country. And it's such a high standard that we feel justified, when the standard is met, to execute people who have committed a crime established by that standard that is a capital crime. All right, so that means that's pretty high. Then you have preponderance of evidence, that's 51%. It's more for than against, basically. All right, that's another standard of truth. And it seems if you have more evidence for one view rather than for another view, then you're intellectually obligated to believe the one that is most reasonable, most likely, and not believe the one that's least likely. So that's another standard of proof. So which one do you have in mind? Now, I don't think apodictic truth is a standard that's appropriate to apply to these kinds of questions. Because if you ask, is it possible I could be mistaken on a bunch of these details? Well, many of them, it is certainly possible I could be mistaken. Okay, I can't be mistaken about my own existence because I'm aware of my own existence directly. And awareness entails the notion of existence. This is, I think, therefore I am. But on most of the details of the Christian worldview, these are defeasible. It's possible to show them to be false in principle. They're falsifiable. And so it's not going to rise to that level of truth. Now, beyond a reasonable doubt, I think that definitely can be the case, but a lot depends on the individual who's doubting. Because for some people, one level of evidence will be enough to take away any reasonable doubts, but for other people, it won't be enough. But I think that Christianity certainly falls into that category of proof. Absolutely, preponderance of evidence. It is much more likely, in my mind at least, that Christianity is true than it's false. All right? Or else I wouldn't be a Christian. So, given those standards of proof, what I offered a few moments ago to the question, how do we know Christianity is true, was my attempt to give the kinds of evidence that might raise one's confidence level, at least to preponderance of evidence, and if they examine more closely, maybe beyond a reasonable doubt.